on that. So depending on, I would think the demand that you have in your area and what you want to do. I'm the first one to tell you that you should always be diversified. I don't think there is one piece of equipment in the key programming business that is the end-all be-all. You know, we, as Kevin was saying, we feel that, and I'll go right to the heart of what sets us apart. Loads of software. So the broad range and coverage that we have over the years. I wear more of an AD hat because that's where I came from. Probably Ilko purchased Advanced back in November of 14. So been about 5 years, pretty close to 5 years now, that we've been one. And it's a good marriage because we bring a complete package. We bring, obviously the Ilko brand. So we bring the key technology, and history there, and experience, and we have the cloning side, which we're going to touch on today, in shop or mobile, and now we have key programming. So we really are a one-stop manufacturer in that sense, and that's what really sets us apart. Plus the fact that we have some fine folks that are sitting here in this class today, or this session today. Christy, you want to tell them what you do? This is your territory.
I'm the Ilko rep for Florida, Texas, Arkansas, the entire state of Louisiana, the entire state of Mississippi. So that's what I do.
And then this gentleman that's just sitting.
I travel a lot.
Yeah. So, and you want to make sure these are your local representatives. So, depending on where you came from, if you're local here, this is Christy's territory. You run Memphis. So, Kevin. So, Kevin, go ahead.
My name's Kevin Jensen. I'm the principal in the rep agency here for Ilko and Advanced Diagnostics. Our agency covers Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, and then Mississippi, and then we go as far as Memphis. With some manufacturers that use reps, covered by folks out of that. But with Ilko, we're blessed and like Tony said, I come out here pretty regularly. We have a strong user base. We have great distribution with HL Flake and McDonald Dash, and they're one of our top distributors. And like I alluded to earlier, if there's a deal to be made, these guys are usually the best in the you won't find a better price. So, and then of course, one thing we always bring is support after the sale. There's always support. They do what they do, but when it comes to having somebody you can call and getting some help, that's one thing we take a lot of pride in. So we appreciate your time and money and being here today. We certainly appreciate your business.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. And then, last but not least, the gentleman over here on the other side of the table is, I'm sure some of you know him, if not all of you know him, because he's
come up here all the time.
he's kind of an icon. So, but Tony, tell him where you came from, what you do, and.
Well, I was before Kevin took the territory. I had the territory for about 30 years. I've been over here many, and I've seen you folks. But I work same territory and 18 February 18. Not February 15. Which goes to the Corpus District. I work with people down south, that's the call down there. They work the shows. You'll see me shows and probably not close by.
Thanks, Tony. Okay, and then just to continue on, so kind of who to talk to, when, how, on that. They all have business cards. I think you guys have already seen those or have them. But let's continue on with the
Ken.
Ken?
Yeah.
How's business, Ken?
Pretty good.
Good. You have a machine. I believe I've met you before.
I don't think so. This is my first trade show.
been interested in them for quite a while.
Okay, so you don't have a machine yet?
I do have them.
You do have it, okay.
Currently, I'm using an Octave.
Okay, okay, all right.
Octave is my most recent purchase. I'm interested in this machine. I've seen it. I don't know much about it.
Okay.
I'm here to find out.
No, we're good. We're in that live demonstration. Will give you a real good flavor for how it works and what you think of it on that. Now, hopefully, we'll share some things here in class as we go through. This is kind of a general product presentation, so we'll touch on some cloning, we'll touch on programming, but our core, right, pinnacle of this class will be going down to do this 19 compass.
So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
This machine uses tokens? Does it use tokens?
It's a combination. So we call it a hybrid because if you roll the clock back, we had two machines. We had an MVP and a T code. And the MVP worked strictly off tokens. It was token based, and the T code worked off software. So what we did is we've discontinued those two machines, and we brought that foundation of both into one. So you basically can go from software, and if you didn't buy that $400 to $600 software, then if you had a token, this really is a kind of and we'll talk about that and explain how those three gas tanks work on that. But I'm glad you're here, and I hope that you learned something from it, and that it sounds like you're interested in diversifying a little bit more. And it kind of goes in line with what I was saying, is diversification is a good thing, because there's just no one machine out there that's going to cover everything for you.
I agree. That's been my experience.
Yep, that's truly what it is. We'd like to think, and we feel we are, once you have this machine working, that it will be your go-to most days.
Right.
Okay?
And that's key in itself.
That's key in itself, yes, on that. So,
Ken, where are you out of?
I live here. I've been quite a bit of business with, I've been doing business with McDonald Dash, which is now Flake,
Right.
for years.
Andy,
Kevin sent me to this class. He recommended this class, and he told me to make sure that I brought that to your attention.
I appreciate that very much.
well, we're glad you're here, and I hope, like I said, I hope that you'll take something from it, and
I'm sure I will.
we can move you forward on that. Go ahead.
Betty, I'm out of Ohio, and I'm wanting to learn a little bit more because I get anywhere from 15 calls a week wanting to program keys and fobs and all this. I can't do nothing because I want to try to figure out how all this works because I want to try to hit the ground running so you don't have to sit on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, that's 10 to 15 jobs you're passing up, and
that's a lot of money.
yeah, and you make
You got something to another locksmith.
well, you make a good point there, and I love those kind of stories because it leads into what I've always termed the domino effect. The domino effect is this: is that if you do automotive, most of you that are here today are a full-fledged locksmith. You'll do door closers, you'll do rekeying of house. You'll do access control to a certain limit.
My next one, access.
Yeah, access control. So as you broaden or diversify your services to take on more jobs, automotive is a spoke in the wheel, sort of say, in that sense. But it's an important spoke because when you can do an automotive job, number one is it's cash flow. And any business, as you guys are all, I think most of you are principals of your business. So if you're the principal of your business, cash flow is like blood flowing through your body. You have to have it or you'll die. So when you do automotive, that's cash flow. You're not billing out, waiting 30 days, hoping that you do get paid. If it's a state job, maybe you get paid in a month, maybe it's 6 months on that. So, but the thing is that the domino effect of doing automotive and helping that customer out of a jam because they didn't have their key, they lost it, or stopped working, or what, should lead, in a lot of cases, to more business. Because that car owner may have a restaurant chain, have an apartment complex, have connections that once you have done them a service and you've done it professionally, like you all do, then that should lead to more business. And I call that the domino effect. So it should lead to more business for you and growth of your own.
Well, I'm the only locksmith in that town. About a 7-mile radius.
Okay, good.
I usually do about a 80 to 100-mile radius.
Yeah, and what town? You said you were from the state of Ohio?
Yeah.
Nice.
Here in Ohio.
Okay. All right, good deal. I've seen you before.
Yeah, my name is Jarlin.
Jarlin?
I'm from Memphis.
Okay.
And looking to maybe upgrade. I got an Untitled. Get back into the automotive a little bit more and
Okay.
upgrade and see what's needed.
And the demand is there for that? I mean, you are getting the calls for doing keys? Great. All right, so you have an Autel now. Is that the only machine you have?
That's it.
Okay, well good. Well, hopefully you'll see some things, especially from the live demonstration that we'll do today, that you'll see kind of the direction that we're going with the product line. And for all of you, you know, even those that are long entrenched in it, to those who don't have it at all, you should be able to take some things from this class and help you make some decisions in the future. And again, I can't emphasize enough the local representation and even your host here, H.L. Flake, McDonald Dash. Very long entrenched in both lines, both ILCO and AD. So you really got a great support mechanism already built right here for you. Okay? All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, because to start out any job, you need resource. You need to know. You want to know going in, right? Before, you want to know what key, the car, make, model, year, all of that. And so something new that we have out, still in a beta testing. I hope my screen will jump in here. It went dormant for a minute. There we go. So you guys know, I'm going to show you what is currently has been out there for a while. This is an app that you can run from anything that'll accept an app. I'm running it off of obviously my iPhone today, but this is InfoQuest. And InfoQuest is, again, an app that was designed by our headquarters for the AD side in the UK. And when it first came out, it was primarily for all the European type models and makes, because obviously we hail from the UK. But as time went on, they built a more solid base for the US market and vehicles there. So just by raise of hands or saying yes or no, is anyone running this app by chance?
What is it called?
InfoQuest. InfoQuest, yeah. AD, the call tag on the app itself when you go in the App Store is ADIQ Mobile. It's all of 99 cents.
Is it an App Store?
Yeah, you can buy it from the App Store. Now, I always catch myself and don't want to jump ahead. If you're running AD product, there's also something, a free service and resource for you, and that's our technical forum. So once you become an AD owner, like Johnny over here, Johnny, do you ever use the technical forum?
Yes.
Okay. And you're signed up for that, right? And you have a password.
Yes.
Okay. So that's where you really start. You'd want to go get on the forum, get registered for it, and use it from time to time, because that forum does display a lot of information on different situations and vehicle issues out there, and how our programmer, because it's our technical forum, how our programmer or programmers react. Once you're set up on that technical forum, that's kind of the green light or the social security number for these apps like I'm showing you here. So that password follows with you. And so you set this up, and it most likely is going to ask you for the password, and then you'll have that. Some people call me up and say, well, you know, I don't know what my password was. And usually that's a trigger of, well, are you on the forum? Have you signed up for the forum? And that's where you have to start. So let me go through this a little bit with you. If I turn it, it might be a little bit better to see there.
If you're good, I'm going to get that machine.
Please, thank you. Let's go down. I'm going to pick one that I'm fond of. So I'm going to go down to Ford. There's a lot of Ford. And you see, because we're a global company, you have to kind of pay attention, US, Canada. And then, everybody sees this okay? Okay, so I'm going to go down. Now I got to use my, getting to that age where I got to use these cheaters. I'm going to go down and pick a special one here because I want to take you through. I know everything's there. There's still some models that we lack, like photos of, because we just have such a wide coverage of vehicles. Let's see, the one I want is going to be right. Where'd it go? Through 16. There it goes, right here. So you get general information. These are the years 7 through 9. They don't even make a sports track anymore, but there's quite a few of them on the road. There's the ILCO key number, H84PT. These symbols, there's a directory for these symbols, but most of them you can understand. PIN, remote. 63 is on the chip itself. Then there's some more information. Now these pertain to our older equipment. As you see, the Pro plug-in cable there is ADC 250. Some of you that have run a T-code or MVP, these numbers look familiar. The software part number, now that's gone to 4-digit with the Smart Pro, is ADS 100. We would now call that ADS 2100. So really nothing has changed for the most part here. And important to know that PATS-4 is the system of the vehicle, because you are allowed to look up vehicles or run vehicles on the machine from either system or vehicle. You have the choice of doing that. We have some of our older, more experienced guys, they got used to doing it by system. I myself personally like the vehicle. It's really easy, and you'll see that today how that works rather than picking it by system. And then you have type 6 there. So that information, and then here's where it gets a little more explaining, where you can see the vehicle, especially on trucks, because they have so many different, Ford has so many different trim lines, engine sizes and stuff. So, it's always great to be able to match up. Never, how many times that you get into a vehicle and you're not sure where that OBD port is? Usually it's going to be left or right of the steering column, but sometimes they hide it behind a panel.
Yeah, I've seen cars that had them in the console.
Console, yep.
Backwards.
Yeah, your learning slot area type, yep.
You had to pull the ashtray, actually.
Yeah.
To get to it.
To get to it, yeah. So they get kind of crafty on some models and lines. So it's very nice. It's really nice to have a photo, and we have a ton of videos. Like this class being videoed today, we have a ton of videos that are on programming, many makes and models that, that's really become the go-to, I think. YouTube on that. And then where your VIN is placard, and then a key itself, and the remote that goes along with it. You have feedback. This feedback, when you have free ability to write in there. You can even attach a photo of the instrument cluster, the screen of the machine. And when you do that and you submit that, obviously being online, it goes directly to our engineering department, directly to the UK. And so it's very important. I can't stress enough on this feature right here that you give us feedback, because we cover nearly, we're closing in probably on close to 500 makes and models with 64 software for the US and Canadian market. Really, we span from Guam Islands all the way out through the Caribbean. And we cover all of Canada and then all of US. So it's really a very large, broad area, and we have a lot of vehicles out there. You guys know, because you're doing this most of you are doing this day in, day out, you're missing, what, 10 to 15 calls a week, you know, and that just shows you the demand for programming car keys. And I'll talk a little more about that as I'm going to switch over to a PowerPoint slide on that, okay?
Can you show how you update that?
Yeah, and I probably need an update. So when you go back, you see in the bottom, it's easier to see it this way, see the bottom toolbar, as I call it. So you have application list. I mean, let's just kind of go through these. You can go through these and search by putting the information in there. There it'll load up our list of software, you know, on that. Now, in your packet that you have today, I want to just stop right here for a minute, because what's important on any software that you have to purchase, or even use a token on for that matter, is what does that software cover? How many vehicles, what vehicles am I going to be able to do investing that, either that token or investing in the software? So when you go to the paper side here, and you go back, let's just pick one out of here. I got one right here. I don't have to pick on yours. Let's just take one right off the top here. So August of 2019, ADS 2280. This is a Hyundai Kia software. And what I'm holding up here, and what's in your packet today, is what I call a cut sheet. This cut sheet is general information about the product, in this case software. And if you flip it over, you'll see exactly the models and years that it covers. No more, no less. This is very important. This is what goes out to our reps. This information goes out to our distributor. And in this sense, it's not, we could do probably a better job of putting it on our website, but your first call usually is to the distributor. So they have it for you, and they can send it to you electronically. So I've given you several in your packet today to look at, some of the latest ones that we've put to market. And so, you know, again, this is information to take home, review, and ask more questions. So as we go there, let me get back to that. And then, as Christy was mentioning, the update. How do you update this? This doesn't do an automatic update. You have to kind of remind yourself about every 30, 45 days. And I'm probably at fault for not doing mine. The current version is 229. So if we hit on settings, we can look there. And then you would put in your password. If you want download updates, and then you have to be hooked up, but there you go. It'll start, or it should, hopefully. There we go. It'll kick in. It goes pretty quick, unless you're in a cement bunker or something.
It's not going to tell you it needs to be updated. You just need to go in there and do it.
You have to kind of remind yourself to do this. And so as we watch that build up to 100%, we'll see what, and then it'll tell us, I didn't write down, or did you guys notice what the version was? 229, I think it was. And it is on video. Can you play that back? Can we get a replay? Okay, so close window. Yeah, 229. Maybe it was 227. But anyway, this application will update quite often because our engineering, or what we call our research and development team, is adding information all the time. Like I said, there's still gaps in there. There's no one perfect resource. It's like the diversification of machines, your resource and your tools that you use to extract information on vehicle programming comes in many shapes and sizes. There's books out. There's several books. There's a couple authors. A guy out in San Francisco, Mike Hyde, does the AutoSmart. You have a guy in Daytona, Florida, Josh Heath, does Auto Pro and Bike. And so there's a number of resources out there that you really, for the amount of money that you'll spend on them, it's very small, and it's a very huge step in making sure that you have enough resource to fall back to. Okay? But thank you, Christy, for reminding me.
You said they updated quite a bit.
Yeah, well, I would say if you did it once a month, you're fine. About every 30 days, you should be good.
Of course, if we put out a new piece of software, it's gonna get updated.
Yeah.
You said they go in and tweak it kind of like Apple does.
Yeah, they're going in. Well, they're going in and they're putting more information in. So this is an older app. It's actually going to disappear. Now I'm going to take you to what's coming. So you guys are, for Johnny and Pat here, you want to see something new? I'm going to show you something new, and it's right down here in the app. It's called My Keys Pro. Now this is still in a beta form. I'm fortunate to have one because I'm giving feedback. If we turn it, I don't know if this one allows me to turn it. It doesn't. So hopefully you guys, everybody see that okay? So I'll just give you a flavor of this. I was on Jeep, but if I go back, actually I can just change it here. There's my list of vehicles. So some things are pretty much standard, but if I go to Ford, and if I wanted to find that sports track, I could go find it again over here. And then that runs down a number of pieces of information for you, pretty much what you saw. And additional information, there's those same photos. All of that. And then you have notes. You can put in your own notes. So it's getting, I think it's a lot better. They've cleaned it up a lot. There's just a lot more in it. And this will become available hopefully before the end of the year. I don't have an exact date yet from our R&D on this, but this is what's coming. And it's My Keys Pro. Okay? But you want to remember, and there's news, and then there's notes. Whoop.
Did they add a 2 in front of the
Oh, yeah, let's check that.
software?
Let's check that. Let's just grab one and see. Yeah, see 2100?
Good, okay.
Yeah. Pat's 4.
And it actually gives you the information.
Yeah.
On it too.
Yeah. So they really have tightened it up, what I call tightened it up, and produced critical information actually, or vital information. I don't know if it's critical, but vital information for you to have at your fingertips. You see how I'm doing this in class, so it's off my phone. Now, you can do it to your iPad or laptop, anything that'll accept an app. But please make sure that as we started, because I always forget, I jump ahead, and I get excited about showing you this, is that please make sure that you're on the tech forum, that you're registered and you're active. We can check that in Radar for them. Radar is a system that we use that when you're talking, and even our distributors use, is when you're engaged with either our rep, myself, or the distributor, the first thing we'll usually ask you is what is your what your serial number is. All serial numbers are placarded on the back of the machine. I thought they could have done a little, they could have made it a little larger for some of us that have to use glasses. The case it comes in is very nice. Made it through snowy Denver on the way out here. No issues. And
That's the standard case that it comes.
this is a standard case, yes. Very nice, as you see. You know, very sturdy. And where you go with this, where I'm going with this, is that your serial number and passcode. Every machine has a passcode, 6 digits. You can't pick your passcode. It comes out like a social security number, and it stays with the machine for the life of it. Okay? So you don't want to be flaunting this around. Some people put this like a credit card in their wallet, or keep it obviously close to the machine at all times.
That's actually your manual also.
Yeah.
If you're manual,
Yep.
there's a USB drive right there, and you pop it into your computer and it brings up your entire.
You can pass that around, get a feel for it, okay? So to tie that back into radar, the systems that we use and that we have a level that our reps use and that our distributors use, is that helps them, it's a tool for them to help you. So the first question they ask, like Christy was saying there, is your serial number. It's very important. That way we can quickly look, we can pull up the record of the machine, we can see history of when you last updated it, you know, what software you lack, where your token level is. Very important to help you in a situation. Okay?
I can also look and say what software you need. If we run a special, I can go, okay, well, you know, we're running a special on software.
Thank you.
And this is software you know, typically you would utilize, and so really useful.
Okay, so I'm going to switch over here to a PowerPoint. And with my trusty glasses, we're going to go through some slides here. And in a little bit then we'll go down. We have to obviously track down to the vehicle. Hope they haven't towed it. Maybe just go check with them and maybe aware of the front desk. Here, take the key just in case they ask you to do something on that. We only have one key, so we're going to take system and we're going to put it back on. It's a prox push button system, and the uniqueness of that vehicle is how we go about programming that vehicle. So you guys are in for a treat today. Has anybody done a 19 company? Yeah, so one of those situations where it sets us apart from the competition. Okay, so with this, let me go in and get my PowerPoint. Kind of got a new look to my PowerPoint. That's a lot of cars, isn't it? So yeah, and I thought of that. I found that somewhere to use for my first slide, because there's a lot of cars on the road, and so it kind of goes in step with this class, I think. Yeah, traffic jams everywhere, right? Okay. We already did this. We know where you're from, why you're here. So what we're going to do today is we're going to demonstrate the Smart Pro by putting it out, because that's really, I mean, we tout this class as being lecture and hands-on. So that's our hands-on portion. They're going to bring in a Futura. Is it an auto? Do you know, Tony?
I don't know.
We're not sure if it's a Futura Pro or an auto on that. They're going to bring one in the class. So we're going to, this is a small enough class. We can all go to the car, then we can all go back and we can huddle around. So you're going to see some cutting technology for cutting teams. This guy right here is one of our latest additions. Yeah, it's been out for a little while now. And the Futura family, in fact, the next page over, I thought I had it in here. Yeah. My daughter doesn't pack my things and she doesn't get her allowance. But anyway, here's a rundown of the Futura family, and it's a very good information sheet. If you are in the market of upgrading your situation, you really want to take a hard look at this, and this machine coming into class today will give you a good feel for what we are doing in that side. That's the Caba Ilco Silca side, long entrenched in key machines. We feel we are right at the top of the game in cutting.
I've got 3.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so they last a long time. They do a very good job. Duplicators. This is all high security, automated. So you're going to get firsthand viewing of that and demonstration of that today. Okay? We're going to touch on the cloning capability and using an M-box. How many of you clone in here today? It's just a few, so I don't spend a lot of time on cloning unless the class... Yeah, we're going to touch on some areas that we've expanded into now. Technology on cloning will always lag behind programming at the car. So, but we're going to show you some things today that we're doing that have expanded our product line that we have. Doing the RW4 Plus, and now with the M-Box, it's been out for some time now. It has improved the capability and range. Okay, so we'll touch on that today. New Chrysler Dodge cables that are out. Oh, and I just did this and I forgot to put the 12 up there. That reminded me to do that. Here was the first one that came out, and I'll pass this around. And notice that it's an OBD port connector. Type connector. On Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, especially from about 2018 up. Now they call it a star module, and that's what you're going to connect to. And they're in different locations depending on the vehicle. You'll see a picture of one, and you're going to see up close in person another one today. So very interesting. Then we have our look-alike remotes. I started to put my own case together over here on look-alike remotes. We have a case that's out that I'm sure they'll modify to handle these, but I'm going to hand a few of these out. Let me get a good breath of them going here. GM, Chrysler, Ford, Toyota. I don't need that Ford. Hand those. Let's go two on that side. There's the Chrysler and GM. And here's a Ford and Toyota. Take a look at these. This is one of our newest lines that we have implemented into our broad coverage of products, and they've got very good review in the field. I think they're priced very well and reasonable for your margin and your bottom line, and the quality has been very good. So the feedback so far, so good. And you'll see, I gave you a little bit of a flavor of that here in the key, what we call the key news. You can kind of browse through there and see the different keys. We've got about 4 of these out now, Tony, I believe.
164 items.
Yeah, 164. I know recently it was 130, it jumped to 164. So we have 164 SKUs, or keys basically, that we can offer. So pretty wide swath of coverage on that. And just a few that give a sample. We might draw in the hat for 1 or 2 today. Okay, give you something to put in your pocket and take home. You might have to edit that out. The bosses. Okay, yeah, you just throw those in the middle like that. Okay. So what else? Then we have Smart Aerial. This guy, he's starting to play a bigger role. I wish they would promote it more. I'm trying to get some information from R&D right now on some things, some hidden things that has not really been out there a lot. Doing a sprinter from scratch, all keys lost. I mean, I think we really need to get moving on promoting this guy. Now, and I'll have a slide here in a minute that'll show you what it does cover. It connects directly to the machine, and it even has a slot. I do it backwards. Oh, it helps if you put it the right way. Okay, and then you go right here. And so you have your slot, put it right in the back there. And again, I'll touch on what it's covering right now, but if you're into pre-coating, if you're into spreading your wings on Volkswagen, and vehicle lines like that, and pre-coding the key. This is what this device will do for you. It's an accessory. It does not come standard with the equipment. A couple $100 of accessory that, again, will stretch your ability to do more jobs.
Volkswagen Audi.
Volkswagen, primarily right now, the Beetle 6-10, but it's coming from Fiat. Not Audis yet, yeah, on that. Volkswagen Beetle 6-10. And I have the slide up there. There's Fiat in there, and there's Dodge ProMaster and ProMaster City. The slide will give you the years on that, so if you want to take notes or take a picture of the slide, be happy or feel free to do so. Questions on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have to hook into the 16-pin connector and this?
No, no, just here.
Either or.
Just yeah,
this.
yeah. Well, it's this right here.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Where was
Star,
it?
what is it called?
that's what we call a star module.
Star model.
Yeah. I'll show you a very good picture of one here in a minute. Okay, and then Smart for Car remote programming, this device. If you were early in purchasing a Smart Pro, a couple hundred of these or so went out with the Smart Pro. It's about a $300 to $400 item on the base. And basically, I'm going to run through this towards the back side of the class, and I'll take you through the 4 general steps of using this and what to accomplish basically what would allow you to give your customer a generic remote. So in those areas where the RW4 Plus cloning won't work because of the technology of the key, and they don't have the car available, they just came in with a remote that they tell you wasn't working, this is where this will come in very handy. So it might be something for you for mobile or shop. Works well both ways.
And you say basically it'll clone remote.
It's basically, yeah, it's presetting. We have a generic board. I'll get everything out here for you and go through the steps on that. So you'll get a good understanding for that. Let me put this down. Okay, and then and last but not least, because there are several principles in here, we may, if time permits, if not, and a lot of times what I do is I'll send you what we call an ROI model, return on investment, so that you can kind of plug your own numbers in. You're one person show up in southern Iowa, or not Iowa, Ohio. So your numbers might be a little bit different, and because of the demand in the market, than Pat's over here and where she's at. So the ROI is kind of it's an instrument that I think is very useful, especially if you're the principal, you want to know the bottom line. I'm going to plunk down what is a buy-in price now about what, $3,200, right, on this. You've probably already started understanding that. So your investment of $3,200, well, in my household, if we were going to spend $1,500, it's a discussion. And we want to know, why are we spending that and what's it going to do for us? So I'm sure $3,200 is an amount that you want to know. What am I investing in? Good time of the year to do it because we start thinking about tax and tax write-offs. So if you are going to upgrade equipment, whether it be a cutting tool, cutting machine, or programmer, bigger ticket item, now's the time to start thinking about that. Okay?
I got one question.
Yes.
When you use that Smart Pro program, does that way have to open?
Yeah, in most cases, when you put a key to a vehicle, if there's a system out there somewhere across the country, then yes, those will not. The key will obviously be cut and manually work, but you will take it off the system. You'll have to add it back in. And that's where you'll learn to add on sales of 2 keys or a second key, or tell them, hey, if you find that key or that key comes back because it's in your husband's pocket because he was on a business trip and you lost your keys, and now we had to do that. We had to go that route. Tell them to bring the key in. It's just a programming. You're not having to sell them or cut it for that matter. Okay?
Do you want the Ventura Auto or the Ventura Pro?
We'd like to try the auto if we can. If you have it.
What 2024 key do you want?
Oh, I don't have that yet. Let's do that at break. I don't have that off the top of my head.
He's at McDonald Dash.
Is he at McDonald Dash? Okay. Do you have that? Do you have Alan's email?
Yes.
Yeah, it has to be in there because that's the only thing I can refer back to
Okay.
on that. Or call Alan and ask him real quick. Ford has a new key out, and we're able to do it with our Futura Auto. There's a few things that have to be put in play though. And that would be a good learning one for here if we can get the key and everything. So
Y'all for that, Chris?
yeah, we got to make sure we got a few things in place. So I would go off his email if you can, and that was just the other day.
Like it for.
So there's an adapter and a jaw. So it might be a moot point if you don't have that, or we don't have it. Okay, so with that being said, let's go on. We just touched on this already. I like to start the class out with the app and the information InfoQuest. Some of you may load it right while you're in class or before the class ends and be on it. But again, make sure that you get on the tech forum. There's some different bullet points there of resources that I've listed. Obviously our website, the AD forum there, should probably put that ahead of the InfoQuest. And then YouTube channel. And then coming soon, as I showed you a little bit of a flavor of our new app, MyKeys Pro, that will take the place of InfoQuest. Okay? The programming pie, as I call it, or the business pie. And I've always kept this one in my, even though I've changed up my PowerPoint a bit, I've always kept this guy around because I believe that it truly is. I mean, you guys tell me, does that percentage look right that those of you have been doing this for a while? Pat, Johnny, I'll pick on you a little bit. Does that percentage breakout look about right?
In my area, no.
No?
In Pat's area, yes.
Okay, so yeah, it changes a bit, doesn't it? And that's a good point. I'm glad that you did say that because every territory can be different. What you're in, the metropolitan, north, south, east, and west. So there's not any one magic number or business pie in this sense that is going to hit everybody perfectly. So yours might shade a little harder to the other side than the other. So you have to understand that. You have to understand that about your territory. There is a certain amount of homework that you have to do. And I'll be happy to, like I said, at the end of the class or next week when I'm back in my office, is to send you that ROI and even spend some time on the phone with you to put that ROI model together for your territory and what you expect or what you experience. Okay? That makes sense? Another thing too is out where I'm based. I'm from Sacramento. Been there for quite a few years now, and I established a very good relationship with the most active auto auction west of the Mississippi. Right there in North Sacramento, basically. Right out by the airport, kind of. And I took a picture one day out there on a nice sunny day. We have a lot of those in Sacramento. And I see the sign there, that's all repos. Lines and lines. I was just out there the other day taking photos for our app. And I couldn't hardly move. The rows of vehicles are just tremendous. I mean, they're backed up there. They have one gentleman, they used to have two. They have one gentleman with a van, stays on lot. That's all he does. He programs one key to each car that needs a key. And that's his job. 5 days a week. We use that, we've been using this lot as a training ground. It's free. There's no cost to it. It's your time that's cost and getting there and back. We don't pay for you to come out. We don't pay for airfare. We don't pay for hotel. We will buy you lunch the first day. Most that come from any distance will do at least 2 days of on-lot training. And basically what it is we hand you a machine, in this case Smart Pro, and you meet up with, we introduce you to Matt. Matt is the attendant, has been out there for quite a few years now. And I mean, he's forgot more about programming than I'll ever learn because he's in it every day. He's on these cars, and the nice thing about lots like this, because they've been pulled as repos, you can't break them. You can't break them. You get in there and you learn. And you learn how finicky a proximity system can be to, you know, an older Ford or a Ford alarm going off, and how to get around that. This is in Sacramento. Yeah. And you have my business card in the packet. That runs through me to organize. We have what I call an open calendar. So my next session is coming up here in a week, I think. And usually a session is, like I said, it's 2 days. And it's usually 2 people. Sometimes it might be 1, but usually we try to pair up. We'll have 2, either from the same company or from different companies, come in. That way we have enough equipment to cover that. I've had as many as 6 out there, but we've kind of trimmed that down. The lot has changed a lot with upper management and ownership. We used to we could go out there anytime we wanted. Now we have to kind of schedule it, make sure everybody's on the same page. It hasn't been that much of a problem. Excuse me?
Which auction is that?
This was the part of the Basher Group. They sold out, Car Corporation. So actually the attendant on the lot is a high-tech van, but that never leaves the lot. That's their primary job, day in and day out. It's a very active, as I said, it's the busiest auction west of the Mississippi.
That's Brasher.
It was a Brasher's, yeah. Brasher's had about 8 auctions.
And
They sold here, God, it's been 6, 7 years. Yeah, well, not a Mannheim, Car Corporation. Mannheim might be in Car Corporation. But the top of the food chain there is called Car Corporation. They're out of, their headquarters is in Indianapolis on that. So, and one of the divisions in there was High Tech that did the key programming side of it. There's been a lot of changes in that too, but Matt's there. He's been a staple there for quite some time. I don't see him moving on anytime soon. It's, you know, it's business every day as usual. He will do anywhere from 30, 40 to 60, 65, I think is his high, a day. Wow. So I think he falls in about that 35 to 40 a day routine. Normally when I'm there with the session, and I go out for the first half day because I'm the one that'll take you to lunch. Matt goes, we all go to lunch at about 11:30 on the first day. So, but usually by time we go to lunch, and we usually go to lunch a bit early at about 11:30, you're already in 15, 20 deep in cars that you've knocked down and done. So he'll have the key ready. He gets there fairly early. Yeah, he has the keys usually already in the car. Okay. So the second day, if you want to see him, do keys and ask him questions about key cutting and prepping of the key, that's usually done on the second day. The first day is roll up your sleeves and get programming, because you'll have to catch up to him. He'll probably have 10, 15 cars already ready to go. He'll say the key's in it. He'll point you. They'll be marked. They have caps on them, but he'll point you. There's one, there's one, there's one. Go do it. Okay. And he kind of leaves you alone. We like to see you get into a little bit of trouble.
Figure it out.
Because we want to know, hey, can you figure it out? Do we need to figure it out? Like Johnny was saying earlier, this machine will walk you through it. If you read and comprehend, it'll pretty much tell you what you need to do. And if you get into a problem, usually it's because of the vehicle. Matt will come along and he'll get you straight on it. And that's the best training really we can provide. We're doing something similar. You guys are in the middle of the country. We've just started our first one. I'm waiting for results on it. We just started one in Rocky Mount at our actual headquarters in North Carolina. So I haven't got the results and how that went yet. And what they're doing is, it's not at an auction. They're just lining up cars. But to have it at the actual headquarters, you know, you get the plant tour, you get to see a number of things. Here, this is all programming with a Smart Pro. and nothing else. You can ask Matt and see him the second day about cutting keys, but it's primarily focused here. So if that's what you're trying to build up confidence with and understanding, I highly recommend taking this opportunity. Okay? All right. Let's moving on. Okay, there's our key cutting machines. So from our basic duplication, all the way here from our smallest 08 flash, as we call it. If you got a chance to get on our touring van, most of these machines are on it. So you have a flash there, I believe that's an 044, maybe an 045. Long entrenched silica product that's been out. Then you go up a little bit higher into the manual duplication of laser and sidewinder with the twister. We come out now with these with a smaller footprint called the Swift Pro on that, and money-wise or investment-wise, and capability for doing your high security duplication. Very good machine to look at. And then, obviously at the top of the food chain, and what we'll bring in here today is we have the Futura family, and we're going to bring in one of the, I don't know if we're going to bring the Auto or the Pro in, but either one will give you a very good feel of how we have advanced in technology in cutting high security and edge cut basic residential keys, all in one package.
The newest machine down, the one bottom left. What is that called?
That's called the Futura. Futura Pro is the top of the food chain.
Well, I'm familiar with the Pro and the Auto.
The Auto.
What is that one? The one bottom left? That's the newest one you said?
I think that's the picture of the. I think that's the one for Futura 1. This one here on the left. I have to look at that. I'd have to blow it up because there is a Futura 1 out. If you look at your diagram or your spreadsheet on it, you have basically the Futura 1 with one jaw setting. You have the Edge, and then the Auto. So there's 4 in the family. Yeah, the footprint is all the same. It's just depending on what they're trying to achieve, what your demand is.
The one and the Auto look very similar.
Yeah, that's why I was having trouble saying, I don't know if that's the one or it's the Auto. I just because this slide has been put together months before, so it should, most likely it's the one. Okay?
That one in the middle.
Yes.
I have a client that has one, but the older brand.
Okay.
And I called a couple distributors to try to get parts. They laugh at me.
Huh.
I said, I know you still get parts, but they have the machine and they have one cutter, but they don't have the thing to hold keys
No.
or stuff like that, and they need more
And do you think it's a twister, you think? It's because the twister was the one that came before the Swift. Well, actually, Twister 2.
This is like a 304,
taller.
does it make sense?
Say it again?
304?
304.
Yeah, I think
Wonder if he's talking about, well, it wouldn't be a Bravo. Bravo's the tank. But if you get that, we can definitely try to, I've got a name for you.
Okay.
That on the key machine side, Alan French out of Rocky Mount, he's the key machine manager.
Okay.
So if you're hearing us, Alan, we're throwing your name out there. So, but yeah, he's kind of my go-to guy. If there's an issue with the key machine that the distributor hasn't been able to resolve or reps haven't been able to resolve, they usually know. Christy's gone to Alan a few times, haven't you? Is that if it's something that it doesn't make sense and we can't sort it, we would definitely get Alan involved fairly quickly. And usually it gets sorted fairly quickly then. So there's the Auto. And like I said, this is the newest of the Futura family. And again, all geared towards automotive. So if you're looking for that, if you have that demand, it'll only cut automotive.
Not cut a straight key. Not cut a quarter key. It will cut a tubular key, but it is only going to be a Harley-Davidson tubular key. But automotive. Okay? That's
So.
why it's called the Futura Auto.
And you have the brochure physically in your packet today, okay?
It actually, I believe you can only access the automotive cards in the database on that screen.
I had forgot that I put this in there.
Well, look at that.
Look at there. So I wanted to get this in because Alan said I could use it in class, and you may want to take a picture of this one because it's kind of a busy slide. Apologize for that. So it's a condensed, pretty good bunch of information there condensed into this. So, but if we just read that there, Ford introduced a new key system in the 2020 models, and it's being used already in Europe. And it's already made its way over to our neck of the woods. And for the information needed to locate on code series, as you guys are pretty much attuned to using codes or a resource for codes, create a key, insta-key, stuff like that. This is what, this is Johnny, here's some of the new stuff for you today, man. Take it in all you can because
By the way, it's so new.
We just got
It's
this.
so new that McDonald Dash does not have that in stock.
The stock,
It's
yeah.
so new.
But I want to kind of soak this in for a minute, so I'll leave it up there if you want to take a good picture of it, if you need to get closer or what, because this is the best news we have, really. I mean, I wanted to get it in, and Alan said, go ahead, so I made a screen for it. Okay, go ahead. We want to get a closer picture of that. And this just shows our commitment to moving forward. As you all know, if you've been doing automotive for a while, the automotive industry does not stay stagnant. It's going to continue to change and keep changing. And so that has, and for some of us, from all of you hopefully in this class, that's a good thing because change is good. Embrace it, you change with it. It gives you more opportunity to go out and make money. And provide services for your customer base. We have some that, Johnny, you remember in the day when the transponder keys started to come into the market. I don't want to chase that, I just don't want to go chase that, They gave up on automotive.
Yeah, I know people that think that way now.
They still think that way. Yeah, and so we've seen more come back to that side. But there's still a percentage that haven't. And for you guys, that's a good thing, that avenue is not so crowded. So, especially like your situation. You're the only one in town. You got a captive audience.
Well, I usually send them to the dealers.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm losing money.
You're losing money. You're on the wrong side of that domino effect.
Right.
So get on the right side of that and make some money. Okay? Everybody see this now? Okay, now let's go back, because I like to usually do in class at some point. Usually I explain this early on, but I like to take you from our past to our present and to where we're going in the future. So that last slide was really the future. So let's go back to the past. On the programming side here, you see the two columns. There's our two older machines. There's an MVP in the blue and the T-code in the red. And they served a purpose of programming keys. They just went out about it a little bit different. And the platform of the MVP was token. Never had to buy a software, but you had to buy tokens. Tokens gave you access to any of our software. If we came out with a new one tomorrow, the token's going to cover that. If you're on the red machine, and what you have here in the Smart Pro, you have both of these machines in one, now you have to have the software. So the software, I'm not going to sit down anymore, so I'm going to put that over there. The software that you have to manage. Now, there was an age-long debate when I was actually on the distributor side and started dealing with AD product. There was an age-long debate, and I still think there's that debate out there today. Correct me if I'm wrong, Johnny, is that, do I want to use tokens? I don't like renting the machine. Pay for as you go. I like to own that software. There's an age-long debate. What's better? What's the better way for you to manage that tool? Because either way, there's a cost involved. We've done something completely different here. What, about August, Christy, that we changed our pricing model? Aloha, yeah. So this summer, a couple months ago, we changed our pricing model, and I'll talk a little bit about that today. I don't get into heavy about the cost of the product or what this one item may run. I have it in my head, ballpark-wise. It's really up to our distributor. Our representatives will know it more than I do. I purposely forget it because that's not the theme here today is not about trying to sell you something. It's really about you understanding what you may want to buy, okay? Because the rest is easy. It's getting you to be comfortable and understanding what the product will do, how it will do it, and if it's the right fit for you, okay? So, but when you're managing, in the past, you managed machines, you either manage tokens or you manage software on that. And then what happened later on here, it's been quite a few years now, we introduced what was called an unlimited option so that you could buy time, basically. And that's what we have today, is you buy time. And time gives you unlimited token use. Okay? And that became very popular. You could buy that in two ways. You can buy it by the year, or you can buy it by the month. So in managing it, depending on, again, your demand and your job volume, that's how you would determine that. And that's from where I'm not a locksmith by trade. I went to business school. So if you want to talk about return on investment and how to manage your tool, what's best, because I've learned it backwards and forward, then we'll have that discussion. We can't do that in this class because we're time limited. But you have my card, and you can email me, and we can have that discussion. I've done that countless numbers of times and help people. I see them today. They shake my head. Thank you for explaining that. Okay? But this slide gives you an idea of where we came from in two machines and how they were managed to where we're at today. Having the platforms put in one machine and having your choice. Because we listened to the customer. The voice of the customer told us over the years, man, it'd be nice. Johnny probably told me this once or twice. It'd be nice if I didn't have that software that you just came out with, that I could jump over to a token and not miss that job. We were hearing that. And we brought that to life. You have a hybrid machine. There's 3 gas tanks on this machine that you can put what I call gas. I relate to gas as being software, tokens, or time. Okay? And we'll get a little bit more into that here in a minute. Tokens versus software. There are 7 levels out there. So we do distribute token packs, 10, 25, 50, 250. On the 250 pack, you can split that. If you become a multi-machine owner of the AD product, maybe you have an older machine you kept around as an MVP, and you picked up this guy, then you can split that 250 pack. That's the only pack that you can split, and you split it at the time that you split it. For those of you that went into an exchange, I'll just touch on these bullet points. We did have a special 20-pack option out there that we actually top off, so you actually end up with about 40 tokens, or at 40 tokens. And for those who have been using an MVP and exchanged in, and we didn't ask, we're asking for the machines back. I'm going to probably be, well, my next class is tomorrow. Maybe tonight I'll take that bullet point off there. It's really starting to become a moot point now. So, and in this class, is there anybody using an MVP right now that been waiting to turn it in because they got a Smart Pro? So it's a moot issue. So that one will drop off the slide tonight. Tokens, I just told you about that. And then the virtual bank. Tokens, you have to remember, are virtual, like software. We don't put them in a box, ship them, you pick them up like a doorknob or deadbolt. They go onto the they go to the machine, but not on it. Because all the Smart Pro or MVP have a bank, what we call a virtual bank. So when you place the order through the distributor, your fine distributor here, hosting, McDonald Dash, HL Flake, they, in 48 hours to 72, as I put down there in the red, 2 business days, they will become available. Now I will tell you, I'm on being taped on this today, I will tell you that in most cases, it'll happen in 1 day. But we can't guarantee that because we don't know when you're going to order it, and we don't control the distributor placing the PO to us. So we like to say 2 business days. Most of the time it will happen in 1. Remember, distributors don't work, and we don't work on weekends. So don't wait till 4 o'clock on Friday to place your token order and hope that you get it by Saturday morning. Okay? So that's very important on that. So plan ahead. When you're managing tokens, even managing software, you have to look ahead and be thinking a move or 2 ahead. If you don't do that, you're going to catch yourself in a situation where you can't do the job.
When you get down before.
Exactly. Because if you get down to just a couple of single digits, Murphy's Law, what's going to happen? You're going to get the call for what? You're going to get called for what? If you're using an MVP, or if you've been using an MVP or a Smart Pro, you'll know that there are certain vehicle lines, hint, hint, that might take more than 1 token, right?
Yeah.
Chrysler, a big line, Dodge and Jeep along with it. What do you have involved in those vehicles that before you even end or finish programming the key, what's the very first thing you have to do on that vehicle? Read the PIN. That's a token action, as I call it, or a key programming action that will take a token. Now, we have started to stretch our ability to bypass that. In this case, on this 19, we'll read it. It's a 5-digit PIN on this 19. But when you can't bypass it, or when we can't in our software, that's going to take you a token to read the PIN and 1 to program the key. Okay? You know this going ahead because you did your homework, right? You did your resources, and you know that. And there's 2 lines that you have to be worried about with security pins for the most part. There are a few that are leaked out there for GM, but for the most part, the 2 major lines are the Chrysler, which covers Dodge and Jeep, and then Nissan, with what they call the BCM, or body control module. You have to be able to understand that. GM, we have...
GMs have to be converted.
Yeah, they have to be converted, or what they call a skim pin read, security key immobilizer. On the Chrysler Dodge Jeep, you have to read those. Okay? And you're going to see that today with this 19.
And I'm noticing that Hyundai and Kias have pinions also.
Yes, there are other lines. I think of the Chrysler because it covers the Dodge Jeep line. It's a very massive line really, when you think about it. And Nissan on the foreign side. But there are others. Ford has pin codes. GM has pin codes.
I did a GM the other day, and it asked for a pin code.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, there's a percentage of that we're bypassing. But there are some that we don't. And you have to be aware of that. And that's where when I started the class out about the resource, about using InfoQuest, and the books that are out there, and the YouTube videos, they will explain that to detail, So you want to be very aware of what you're entering into before you even get to the job. Be a step or 2 ahead. Makes it go fast. You'll impress the customer maybe so much that they won't want to pay you that because you went so quick. So you guys know how to work that.
I'll work that out.
How to work that out, yes. Okay? Emergency tokens. They've gone away. We've replaced it with what we call a 24-hour pack. I had a gentleman the other day ordering 73 of them. He's doing the math somehow there. Anyway, but the unlimited, or the UTP 24-hour option is what I call it up there. In the past with the MVP, you had 5 emergency tokens. They were sitting in a cloud. They weren't on the machine or anything. So if you got busy, Johnny, maybe you got there once, you got busy, it was 4 o'clock on Friday, Flake's not answering their phone at this point. Not that they would never answer their phone. They will always answer their phone. But say it's 4:45 and your favorite person at Flake is already left for the day. You can't get that order in. And even if you did get a hold of them, they got to go through the process of getting that order to Rocky Mount, right? And it's got to be released there. So the best thing I can tell you is that you want to make sure if you have to use your emergency tokens, you could do so. Back in the day, it was a 2-for-1 reverse split. You remember those days. You would take 2 for every one that you used. So you could go -10. And I had a gentleman, I think it was in Tennessee, that gentleman that did that years ago. He bought a 10-pack, found out he was still at 0. Now 10-pack's several $100s, and he wasn't a happy camper. We've done away with that. We're 1-for-1 on it at this point. But it is there. I mean, it was an emergency bank. That's gone away as the T-code and MVP are dead stock item now. We don't produce them anymore. You have on this guy 24-hour option. You do pay for it. Unlike the 5 we gave you as house money, you do pay for this one. It's a couple $100, and it's well worth it. So part of the gas, actually that's the 4th gas tank. If we wanted to count up gas tanks, you could put that 24-hour, at least one. You get 5 days of it. So 5 days of 24-hour unlimited use. There's no shelf life on that, like a token. So the shelf life on UTP is time. And where that kicks in is when you connect to your first vehicle, there's an internal clock in the machine that'll run. It'll run for 24 hours, and that time, that day will be done. Pick another day. Hopefully you got more in you bought the 5-pack, you got 5 left or 4 left or 3 left.
And how much is that?
What is it, Christy? About $200 and some dollars, I think the 24-hour pack is, I think it's around $200-300, isn't it?
When you say 24 hours, you're speaking of
It's a pack of 20.
the time that you're using the machine.
Exactly. Well, the minute you plug in.
Plug into the vehicle.
Yep.
The clock starts. And
Yep.
it's
You got a 24-hour period.
You can program as many cars as you want to in that 24 hours. But
Yep.
then, like, if you plug in at 9 a.m., at 8:59, you're done.
You're done the next day.
Yeah.
With that.
And you have to
that or
purchase.
that.
Right.
Yeah, you have to purchase 5.
Yeah, they come in a 5-pack.
I believe when I figured it up, it's like $43 a day or something like that.
Is it? Okay.
Somewhere around in there, it's about $250.
Yeah.
24 hours of use.
That's 24 hours of unlimited use.
For use.
Yeah.
Of that.
So if you plugged in and you're plugged into the vehicle for 15 or 20 minutes, that's 20 minutes off of that 24 hours. Is that the way it works? Or?
No, that's the number of hours
No.
you can actually get a token.
Now,
You can go to 5 cars during that.
If you got 100 cars that day,
you could do all of them if you could do them in 24 hours.
If you, for instance, went to a dealership and you knew you were going to program, 20 cars in one day, it would be beneficial to use maybe that, unless you were on an unlimited token plan. You could use that 24-hour window and program as many cars as you wanted to in that 24-hour
So,
window. Yeah.
in other words, when you start a cycle a day, you got 24 hours to that
Exactly.
run.
That clock is running. You're on a you're basically on a meter.
good close that day.
And it's really the same concept throughout the what we call the UTP or unlimited time plan. Is based on time. You're on the meter. So, and the nice thing about it is when you buy, say you buy an annual, which is about $3,200 for the year, unlimited use, all 64. Tomorrow we introduce the 65th software, you get it. You have access to it because you're on that unlimited plan. You're actually using tokens. And that doesn't start until you plug into your first vehicle. Then the clock or the calendar in that sense starts. Yes. Yep.
And there is a distributor out there right now that's offering you a free Smart Pro. All you gotta do is pay for the unlimited use.
That's our special. We're all running that.
Yeah.
Oh, are you?
Every
Yep.
distributor.
Yep.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
The unlimited on the yearly is $3,200, and I'll get into the new pricing model that has been launched back in August. And that hasn't changed. It's been like that from pretty much day one. The monthly did go up a bit here about a year or two ago. We introduced it at $299. It went to $320. That's a monthly fee. So depending on whether you want to pull out it was an introductory price back when it first started at $299. Here about 2 years ago, maybe 3 even now, we bumped it up to $320. So it's $320 a month right now to just enter into a monthly. And monthly is just that, it's 30 days.
It's almost if you do the math, it's almost cheaper just to buy it for a year.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
I can guarantee it's cheaper. But some people, depending on your cash flow,
Right.
the monthly may more be attractive to the fact that, well, I'll put it this way. Back years ago, when I was on the distributor side selling the MVP, years ago, it had just come out, and they were debating on that 10-pack and why people would buy just 10 tokens and pay the premium cost of that 10 token. And the response that I was getting back from end users or from Locksmith was, I know exactly, or pretty much down to a science of how long those 10 tokens will last me, and then I'll just buy 10 more. He wasn't going to extend himself anymore. He could buy a 250 pack, and yes, it's more money out of your pocket at first, but then you have that banked. And that might run him a year or 2, 3. But no, they just wanted to put out, they'd pay a premium, but they would just buy by the month. They didn't want to get it extended beyond that. That's a philosophy for that type of customer. Then again, like you just did the quick math and said, why wouldn't you just buy the yearly and save the money?
And then you can use it whenever you want.
When you use them whatever you want. I agree with you for the most part, but there are situations where they don't want to put, the logic of, that's what I mean. They might.
Well, if it brings me money, I mean, to get the machine free to pay for the first year, you're already paid it.
Exactly. I mean, to me.
They said this was a 3-year thing. You got to pay 32.
What you have to do is the 32 is the buy-in that gets you the equipment and the year's worth of use. When that year expires, then you buy another year. Or at that point, we're not there yet, but I'm sure we could be flexible if you wanted to go to a monthly or something. I mean, we're still in some uncharted waters there of how they're going to play that. But it is, I hate to use the word contract, it's an agreement.
Right.
So they probably want you to stay in their in that channel. Most will want to, because if the business is there, you're not going to want to. The option 3 is what we call an open option, and that gives you the first 30 days of use. Then after that, you can jump between buying standard tokens or software or what.
Pay for the machine upfront.
Yeah, you still have to, there's an upfront cost in any of the 3 options on that. So, all right. And then there's 64 loads of software. Really just real quick on the monthly and annual on the UTP. I put Greenwich Mean Time up there because when you do plug in and things start calendar-wise, time-wise, right down to the minute, second, we run off the clock of 8 hours, or here it'd be, 6 hours ahead. Yeah, so, although they were looking into changing that. So, but I haven't heard officially that they have. Okay? Okay. The Smart Pro has 3 levels: stock, turbo, and what we call supercharge. So if you're not a token lover and you like to own the software outright, you can enter into a package of 30, 40, or 55. Again, we have 64 loads and growing. So we will never have. If you want a machine with all software, you'd run it off tokens, because that's giving you the access to all software. If you want a machine that has a capability of accessing all software, you obviously run off tokens or UTP time. Okay? If you're going to manage software, because you don't like the token plan, then you have to manage software. You truly have to wait. If the new one comes out tomorrow, you have to make the decision whether to buy it or not. And what makes me kind of question sometimes the logic in end users is that I'll get end users that'll say, well, yeah, that came out, last month? I'll wait till I miss a couple jobs, then I'll buy it. What? Why would you do that? Because the jobs, like you're missing 10, 15 a week? You don't know what's behind that. The domino effect. You don't know if that person owns a chain of restaurants that needs or upgrades in door hardware or what. So passing on a job, you could be passing on quite a bit of opportunity. So on that, okay? And then again, no more progression other than the GM pin. I think that cut sheet's in there, but we released software covering GM pin. There is a prerequisite software in place for that, or has to be in place for that. So keep that in mind. Then there is one software mentioning that. I probably should highlight that on the screen. There is the BMW software that we came out here not too long ago that's covering the older systems, CAS 2 and 3. That is a token-only based software. You cannot purchase that software and own it outright. And you'd have to ask the engineers why on that. But that could change in time, but right now it's a token-based software. It's the only one in our lineup for that.
So even if I purchased a whole year or a year software, I still have to purchase tokens for certain vehicles?
No.
Is what you're saying?
No. Because when you buy time, as I call it, the UTP, that is tokens, really. You're under time. A token, what we call a standard token in the packs of 10, 25, 50, and 250, they have no shelf life. So when we release that order, when you order through HL Flake or McDonald, 2 days later, that gets released to your machine. It physically doesn't go on the machine, does it, Pat? Where does it go? Goes to the bank. It's like putting money, depositing your money into a bank account.
Until you use it.
Now, yes, now you want to come and use it. You have to move those tokens, like you'd go to the ATM and withdraw money. You have to move those tokens over to your machine so that they're ready to use. That's what we call managing tokens on that. And it's very simple process. You guys have done it 100 times. You probably countless times that you might remember. We tell folks to do what now? When you move your tokens over, do you move all 250 over?
No.
Don't move all your tokens and put them on your machine. There you go. You learn your pace with your volume of work. Johnny's 10 at a time. You might be 20 at a time. But you know that. And you bring those to the machine via USB cable hooked to our loader. Bam, takes minutes. Boom, I'm ready to go. Okay, I put 25 tokens on there. I got 200 still in my bank. Because by chance the machine walks off, grows legs. Sometimes they have a tendency to grow legs. And bye-bye. We deal with, at least 10, 12, maybe 15, maybe more stolen reports a year. If it goes bye-bye and you put all your tokens on the machine, it's like putting all your bye-bye. You're not going to get them back, and we can't. The only thing we can do is have the distributor sell you another bundle of tokens, sell you a whole new machine. Once it leaves your possession, it's out of control, and we ask you to report it stolen. We flag it in the system. Once it's reported stolen, big old red report stolen flag comes up on the machine. We don't allow the distributor to do anything with that machine, no order anything for it or anything. We stop everything. Some we get back, we recover. Here recently, our rep in Los Angeles had a smash and grab. The machine surfaced in Peru. from Southern California to Peru.
You've got
So-
about 20 minutes before break.
Okay, thank you. So the thing is that, like Johnny was saying, manage it. Don't put all your tokens in one place. Bring them across as you need them. The bank is safe. If the machine blows up, flood, I've seen floods take them, fire, stolen, anything happens, the bank is safe. If you have to go get another machine because your insurance paid off on it, and you just went out and bought another one, you got those tokens still, we can transfer them, we can transfer the bank. But if it leaves your possession and the machine is out there, we don't know whose hands it's in, we shut her down. Okay? That makes sense? There's your 100% coverage with the hybrid solution. So pay as you go. If you want the packs, have no shelf life. That'll get you 100%. Unlimited plan will get you 100%, either monthly or annual. Or like I said, the gas tanks. The gas tanks in this machine, you want to have a little bit of gas. You know, you buy software all the time, great. Have a few tokens, just in case. That new software comes out tomorrow and it's a big hit. You didn't have time to buy it, but you see that car, well, I got a token. I'm not slowing down. You didn't catch me off guard. I got the job done. I collected my money.
I know some people use their older equipment and they
Could go back, yeah.
keep a couple
They do, yeah,
tokens.
yeah, yeah. I'll be the first one to admit that it's diversify yourself. Hopefully with our line, you know, but obviously you guys have come in here, there's other equipment out there. And we're the best. We have the most coverage. That's what sets us apart. So we should be their first choice before you have to reach for something else.
And the best export.
The support team that we have, when you really think of it, from Mr. Jensen here to Mr. Whitley, his years of experience, I mean, he ran Ilco plant for how many years?
5 years.
Yeah. I mean, that's the history and experience that you have with our product line, from the personnel to the product itself. There's a tremendous amount of value in that. And our distributor, our host distributor, McDonald Dash, years of experience there with their staff and their parent now, HL Flake, years of experience there. You can't beat that combination. It's hard, you know, that we stand behind our product. When you have a problem, Pat has a problem with their cable. We're going to fix that. That is, to me, that weighs heavy on making a decision. Who do I want to stick with? Where do I want to put my investment? We're not a Johnny-come-lately. We've seen new machines come into the market and then hit a wall. Development is a tough thing to keep pace with the auto industry. We're in for the long haul. So hopefully you come along and join us. All right, a couple of key things. We have what, a couple of minutes before break?
Yep.
Keep me on time, thank you. Okay, so real quick here, guys, you want to take notes of this or take a picture, because this is what you would experience at the auction. But about 30, 40 times a day at the auction, especially on the low battery level. They have carts running around, these big old giant booster box, they call them. They're on wheels. Wheel it over there. Matt's got the booster box. One accessory that you better have, you guys already do have, you either better have a good set of jumpers. And it's very important on proximity, because proximity, when you get down into that low 11 range, I find it, and I've caught myself because it happened to me in Kansas City here about a year or two ago. I'll be able to take the key off the system, but I won't be able to get it back on until I get that battery power up to about, close to 12 or right at it. So it's very important. And that last one there, your customer, I mean, there's no secret that people are buying stuff online every day.
Oh, yeah.
Every day they look for deals online. That's where they're going to go get this key, and they're going to bring it to you, and they're going to ask you to program it. Right, Pat? So they bring this key to you and ask you to program it. Where'd that key come from? Well, I got it on Amazon. I don't know. Is it a good key?
We'll try.
Might have sawdust in it. I don't know. Does it have a chip? So be mindful of that and the fact that you need to be able to deal with that in your territory in a business, how you want to go about that. Disclaimers, heads up, how you're dealing with your customers. Yes?
Out of the last 10 customers who ordered keys online, maybe 2 or 3 of them had the right chip.
Worked, yeah. There you go. So what, about a 20%? About a 20%, no more than 30% success rate. That's not very good.
Online, they selling plastic head keys.
Yeah.
Some of these people, that's-
Yeah, it's got a chip in
And
it.
you know, it's not, at breakfast table this morning, there's 2 locksmiths that's buying stuff off of eBay and Amazon.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
why?
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 Trying to cut a corner. Trying to cut a corner, save a buck, you know. So be cautious of that. Be mindful of it. And these are the vitals. I can't think of really any more than that, but if you think of one, let me know. But these 6 areas that I term it this way. If you've gone to your doctor lately, you never see the doctor right away, right? You go in, you see a nurse or attendant, and they take your blood pressure. You've heard this one, John. I haven't changed this one, so you'll have to sit through it. But they take your blood pressure, take your temperature, ask you why you're there to visit the doctor. You have to think the same way. When you approach a vehicle to program it, you're the doctor or you're the attendant. You have to check these vitals.
By antenna signal, you mean it's the antenna that reads?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this guy right here, he's been long on the 80 side, he's been around from day one. Right here. Automatic on, and what you do is you hold it up, and if you can imagine the key in the ignition, turn the key to the on position, it'll give you an audio and visual read. This will be a green light that'll flash okay, and it'll beep. If you're quiet, you don't have your Bluetooth blasting in your ear on that. So those are a few things. These are accessories. They're not very expensive, but they should be the arsenal of what you have with you, so that weird job comes your way. It's going to come. It might not come today, might not be tomorrow, but it'll come sooner or later.
Now, I'm a vehicle man. I went to a car in Wedges
Yes.
down at the Ford dealer. They can cut the key after I make it, but they don't have a code machine to do it. So anyway, I went out there and apparently somebody put a different door on this.
Yeah.
I got it in, and I cut that key. So anyway, they have paperwork sitting there on the passenger seat and a shoebox. I left in there, and there was the right VIN.
Yeah.
Right, VIN number. So I got it back for the other one. I was thinking, if you know that's a different,
Yeah.
you need to take that sticker off.
Well, and
I charge them for it.
yeah, and that's a very good point in saying that, is because cars can be Frankensteined, I call them, and the customer's not going to tell you. He just wants to get the key. He's not going to tell you that this car was repoed or joy-ridden or went through a flood or whatever the situation is. They might not even know, honestly. Yeah. So the thing is that you have to kind of think out of the box a bit. That VIN placard on that door might not be right. Might not be right. Usually there's subtle things in there, visual, that'll tell you that. You know, I mean, you go down to plug into your OBD port and you see a bunch of different wires with wired connectors and everything. The red flag should go up, or light bulb should go on, the fact that, ooh, this guy's got a aftermarket alarm or radio stereo that he's put in there at Joe's garage, and they wired, for some reason, they went through the OBD, for whatever reason, right? Well, you want to test that on that OBD, That's this little guy right here. I call him the insurance tool, right, Johnny? Johnny has one of these. Don't leave home without it. It's ADC 116. It's probably one of the least expensive accessories we have in our lineup. And the fact that this testing item is just, that's all it does. And it's not 2 LED lights, actually. It's, they're not LED, so if you leave it in there and start talking to somebody on the phone or the customer, they'll start to melt that plastic shroud on there. Okay. So it's just a quick check. You're going to get failed or okay. And while you're checking that, primarily that came out for the Volkswagen. Because in Volkswagen vehicles, what happens with Volkswagen? What do they do from assembly?
Oh, I don't know about assembly, but they tie a radio into it.
Well, they do, an aftermarket radio from assembly. And for some reason, iPhone 7 with that aftermarket radio from assembly, that's going to spike. It's going to spike on something foreign, like a device like this, and it'll burn cable. Maybe worse yet, go all the way and burn board. We called them in the day smokers. So, and we know when we get a smoker, well, we ask the first thing, did you check the OBD? Did you check that tester? Oh, what's that? Did you have a 116 tester? What's that? Oh, man, we got you. And that's not covered under warranty. So that's why I call that the insurance tool.
You gotta stand on your head to see it.
Well, unfortunately, hold on, let me show this up. Unfortunately, you see how this is plugged in. Here, I got this emulator. It makes it perfect. It's got an OBD in there. So you can imagine the ports are like this on most vehicles, right? So when you plug that in, where are the lights? They're facing down to, so you got to kind of crick your neck a little bit. So I use my phone as a mirror, because you just have to see that you got the okay side, not the failed side. Okay. If you are on a Volkswagen and you get failed, which you most likely will, what they do is most locksmiths will go find the fuse of the radio and pop that fuse. It won't interrupt your ability to program the key. You just make sure that you don't burn your cable or machine. Okay?
Who sells that?
Oliver, well, your host. Yeah. Hopefully they got a couple in stock.
It's an AD product.
Right, Chris? No, that's right.
I mean, Advanced Diagnostics, they do that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if they have them, but they do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they have them in stock, but they get you one in a couple.
So yeah, they're pretty quick. We could drop ship one out to you the next day on that. But the insurance tool is good, yeah. It's very, I don't leave home without it, as the commercial says. Okay, real quick conversion chart for your VIN. We're at K, letter K. We're actually seeing L's now. Okay, understand that. I deal with that every day. I dealt with it yesterday coming in here late afternoon, and I'm walking the lot looking for a special car with the right year. Sometimes they fool me because they don't have enough change in the trim or the exterior of the vehicle, and it catches me off guard, especially if I'm tired. It's been a long flight. So I'm always checking the VIN. And if it's at night, I'm walking around a national lot with my flashlight on my phone. The attendant's over there looking, look at that crazy guy. What the heck is he trying to steal a car? So yeah, I get all kinds of weird looks on that. Okay, how can we get pins? Pin codes. There's your lineup. Anybody a NASTF member?
How's that going?
How's that going? Thank you for saying that.
Well,
You hate it.
they changed everything.
They have. They made a lot of changes.
Yeah. They closed me out, or closed me out on how many times.
Yeah. And that's, I don't know if that's
I
more.
don't have time to do all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, we put it in there because you should know about it. And believe me, in this session, because we're just showing you information. We're not telling you one's better than the other. You make that determination.
Well, I that because I've had that with keys. Cut keys, I just can't program them.
Yeah.
And
So yeah, so these are basically several points of how you would achieve security pin on vehicles, and you make your own determination what works best for you, whether you become a member of NASTA or you say, nah, that's not for me, I'll go a different route.
So you can live without it?
I think for the most part you can. It depends on the volume of business or what you're getting, what's coming at you each day. I mean, to be honest with you, there are some good things to NASTA in the broad spectrum of codes and other information of the vehicle through the VIN. So I don't discount the fact that they don't have, it's not a vital source or a source well enough for you to use, but they have made it very tough, especially in the last year or two.
Well, that's what I'm asking. If I'm a dealer and I want to go forward, I want to get me some automotive money,
Yeah.
can I live with it? Any of those other methods you have?
You can. Yeah, I believe you
We
can.
never had next.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, it's a choice. It's more of a choice than a necessity.
Make friends with your dealership.
That's still
Dealers, they won't give you nothing.
yeah, it depends where you're at, yeah. You got to find that guy that loves pizza.
Well, we did have one Dodge dealer. Now,
Yeah.
they said they changed everything.
Yeah, they
$120.
Fiat got involved, yeah. Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, Fiat got involved, tightened things up quite a bit.
But there's a couple of other sources, and I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but there's a couple of other sources where you can get those PIN codes.
Yeah.
I'm sure you gotta pay, maybe
We
it's
used to
membership.
use a service, I think it was called Code something.
Well, there was, yeah.
Rapid Key Code.
Rapid key codes, yeah. There's still a couple of companies out there that, for a fee, and giving them the VIN number, they'll provide it for you.
2 minutes until break.
Okay, it was good because we're getting to the back side here, and then we'll get some hands-on going. Okay, so the aerial that I spoke about earlier, there's the part number ADC 242 on that, and there's kind of a small brush that it paints with right now. There is one other item, this guy right here. When you're doing that 6 through 10 Volkswagen Beetle, it will prompt you to or turn the ignition on, and you can't do that obviously with the key in the aerial to pre-code. So we came up with this little adapter that has a toggle switch that will force the ignition on for you in that procedure. So it's not sold together; it's sold separately.
What's
But
the number on that?
it's ADC 222 on that. But if you want to stretch your ability, and where this really comes into play for you guys, because most of you are principals, is always you're thinking the bottom line, right? How can I do a job and keep more money in my pocket and more margin on each job that I do? Well, this is a great example of keeping more money in your pocket, because if you have to go get the pre-coded key from the dealer, or distributor in that case, if you have to go get a pre-coded key, that's going to cost you more money. If you find a distributor, like you have here with the host, that can sell you an uncoded key, then you're saving money on that key, and you go through the steps of pre-coding it at the vehicle. So now your bottom line looks much better than it was with the outlaying cost of the key to begin with. That makes sense for everybody? Okay, so that's where this comes into play. And really, this slide needs to expand. I'm trying to get with Manny Nattel, and he's involved with our training back east, but he's been experimenting with this guy, and he's found some very good things on it. I mentioned about the Sprinter vans and programming them from scratch. All keys lost. I mean, this guy has a capability. He has other basic capabilities too, is that, and we can show this towards the end of the session, is that we can put keys in there, and like a cloner, we can read the chip. So there's a number of benefits that the aerial brings, and I think it's only going to grow in capability. And so it's really important that you guys take note of this, and that this is an accessory along with this little adapter that it might not be as important right now as that insurance tool, but it's going to play a part, and it's going to play a bigger part as we go along. Okay? All right, so let's take a short what?
It's 10 to 10:20, the breakout. I guess they got it.
Oh, they've got it always, yeah, coffee and everything. So, thank you.
I did move it. She did ask me to move it over
Did
to
you?
one side.
Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
You learning anything?
Okay. There we go. All right, so we're back. And so if everybody got what they needed from this slide here on the smart aerial, at least its coverage, the years there and the models that we're covering, and then there's a lot more that needs to go on this slide as information rolls out from our R&D side on that. So I would pay attention to it. And if already you see something there that you can make ground with, I'd definitely get that in your arsenal, okay? So as we start to get on the back side of this, a couple more slides to go here. There's the 2011 cable. I passed that around. This guy paints with a pretty good brush. You have a cut sheet on this in your packet. I made sure to put that guy, might be on towards the back a ways.
Is there a newer cable out, Tony, than that one?
Yes, there is, and that's the one we're going to use. Thought I put it in here. Yes, there it is right there. I got it. I was just about ready to fire my daughter. But
That wouldn't work.
that wouldn't work. But here's the cut sheet, and it shows both cables. Now the one we're going to be using, as I showed early on, as I was mentioning that we're going to go to the vehicle and hook up, and that's what I call the three, actually you could say a 4-point connection, but if you could just imagine, you're going to be unplugging, you're going to find the star module, and I'm not going to tell you where it's at. You're going to have to see this to believe it. But you're going to find the star module box, and you're going to unconnect the OEM connection, and then you're going to connect in our cable, and then what you disconnect on the OEM side will plug in. So there's your 2 points there. Your third point is basically it's slabbing into the main cable that you're running from the machine. And if you wanted to say, well, you got to plug it in the machine, there's 4 points. Okay, so this is what we're gonna put into use. You're gonna get the full experience here in a little bit.
Isn't that the one we done in Houston?
We might have. I've done this now about 8-9 times now, so it's a good demonstration on that. So don't spoil it for them if you've seen it, okay? So, but anyway, yeah, you have direct connection. You're bypassing the OBD. The only problem that I find with doing that is that our machine will read the voltage. And remember, in our vitals, you want to make sure you have enough power. Well, our machine will tell you that right on the front, the home, what I call the home screen. But when you're plugged into the star module, it's not going to read voltage from the battery. So that's probably one of the reasons why the engineers did keep the OBD connection side to it. Because before you start the job, as you check your vitals, you can plug into the OBD quick enough and get the read. But you know, the way really to beat that, just bypass it, is just treat everything as you think it's a dead battery. Put power to it. Put your booster box to it, jumper cable, whatever you have to do. Just do it, because you're not going to hurt anything. It takes an extra, 2 minutes? Just do it, because you never know. You're going to get so many different types of vehicles that come at you. And the customer is really never wanting to tell you all the things wrong with the car. They just want the key.
Yeah.
They want you to get a key for them so they can move on with their day. Okay? So, and I have a better picture that actually, a picture says 1,000 words. I have a picture on showing that bit to you. So again, there's the coverage. This is on the first cable that went out. So this is on the smaller guy. He has the bulk of the coverage. Some good news coming for those of you that like some of the newer stuff, that And I don't even have time to put this into my presentation, but I did write it down on my discussions before class, actually yesterday before getting on the plane. Is coming soon will be 2 more new pieces of software, so we'll be up to 66. I would imagine we'll break out probably at about hopefully 67, maybe 68 software by the end of the year, depending on how our engineering flows and changes that happen with Detroit or certain models up there. But what's coming soon, we're looking at Ram, new body, and Mitsubishi new on that. So, and when I say new, it's like 19 and up. So, again, this is what sets us apart from our competition, is our sheer ability to develop and bring things to market, and obviously put them in a technology of the machine at this level of technology. Okay, so if you took a picture, took notes on that, actually you have the cut sheet on it. So I'll move on here because, like I said, a picture says 1,000 words. So here's a Dodge Challenger. This is an 18. I believe this was a Dodge. This might be the Chrysler though too, because they're both in the same spot. You see this bank here. Now this what I call the star module is this box. And this is actually an area right behind the passenger back seat that you can fold down. And basically it's in the trunk, so it's at the top of the trunk, right, butted up against the back seat row. So you'd have to take the liner out of the trunk, get good access, peel this stuff back, and you find this box, a star module. And then there's a lid that has some fish hooks that's a little tricky, but you get that lid open and then it'll expose this area here. And actually this is locked in on some fish hooks too, and you can see because it's at such an angle, it makes it tough, especially if it's a real cold day or what, or you're boiling hot out. You don't want to waste a lot of time. Most people will break the bank free so that they can properly position it and install the cable or hook the cable. Now, you notice that there is, 5 or 6 open ports here. For the most part, they all work or will connect to the vehicle. But I did find one, especially on this Charger or Challenger or 300, that if you go to the last one never works. It'll never communicate. I learned that the hard way in Portland, Oregon. So I usually stick with the very next open port. And I'm sure if I went down the line, which I have, randomly checked some others and they work, but I always have success on the next open port. There is ones like the Chrysler Pacifica. They only have one open port, so there's no guessing game. I think we could do a little bit better job of pointing that out on the ports, and we probably will get to that. But that's one of those live and learn type situations. I call it go fishing. You know, it only takes you a matter of seconds to unplug and plug into another one. You're not going to hurt anything on the vehicle. And if you didn't notice as I pass this around, this is missing what we call a locking tab. I trimmed it. It's because if you don't want to break that free and you have the nimble hands to go in there, fingers to go in there and plug that into a port, and I'll tell you one that's very difficult is going to be your Dodge Journey, because it's in the column between the front, behind the driver's seat and the back seat. It's in that column is where that star module is. And the trick to that, if you want to write this down, because they may have put it, I don't believe they put it in tips and hints on this. The trick to this is that in that column area, which is the hard plastic wall of the vehicle, interior lining, there's a concaved like triangle. Why they made it that way, I don't know. It's just the way that they form the wall. And there's a cap in there. If you pry that cap off, it'll expose a Phillips head screw. If you take that Phillips head screw out, it kind of loosens that whole section of wall and column. So it makes it easier now if you can imagine the door column, and this is your back seat, or driver's seat, when you're in there, you're going to separate that column away from the body of the vehicle, the plastic inlining, and it's a brittle plastic, so it's hard to really move. What I tried the first time I did it is once I got it, and I didn't know about the Phillips screw at that point, I got it open enough to wedge this case in there so that I could get my hand in to reach the port. You guys run around, if you're doing any amount of auto, what do you have these things called air wedges? If you have an air wedge, especially the smaller one, you would use your air wedge to separate that enough so you're not damaging the vehicle, and that way you can get in there pretty easy then and make your connection. And that's why I go back, I circle around to this locking tab. In cases like that, that locking tab is a death sentence for you. Now you got to, now you got to get the tab, press it, and try to get it out. So, tip of the day for you on that. If you're using this cable, you might want to just trim that tab off, because if you notice, if you look close enough, and if you notice here, it's kind of hard to see if we can blow that up. These ports they have a track on them, and so that connection runs on a track. You can see it right there. See how I'll run this around. See that runs on a track right there. So it's a very sturdy and solid connection. There's no play in it hardly, okay? So it's one way in, one way out.
So you saying that you taking the tab off of the tab?
I clipped it. Yeah, it comes with a locking tab.
Right.
And I clipped it off.
You need something, a multi-tool or something to get that thing.
Well, yeah, this one is not as bad. I'm telling you, the worst one is the Dodge Journey, just because of its position, and it'll make you work. I mean, it takes you longer in some of these situations, like the one we're going to do here, the 19 Compass. It'll take you longer to hook up than it will be to program the key. That's just the kind of situation you're in. So, but it's quick, and once you get it down, I'm gonna show you a tool that we don't sell. It's very cheap and inexpensive. You already have it in your toolbox. That makes this compass very easy to work with. Okay, at least to reach the SAR Mobile box. All right, that makes sense. That picture kind of makes sense to you. Any questions there? Pay attention to Chrysler Pacifica. Now, we started doing them from 17 on, obviously with the right cable, okay? But Pacifica systems are what I call a closed system. And it's those other 5, 2 through 6 there, and those year ranges that are a closed system. And a closed system meaning that we have no way to read the pin. Our development team or engineering, that's not out there. Now you're going to turn to NASTA for hopefully your dealer that you bring him pizza every other Friday, and through a VIN number you get the pin. You will not get it through our software or machine on those models and those years. So if you get presented with that, an opportunity to do those jobs, make sure you understand that. Because without the pin, are you programming the key?
No.
Nope. You wasted time and effort. If you can't do it, move on.
Do you waste the token too?
Well, you wouldn't even get to the job. You wouldn't even get to communication. So yeah, you got to read the pin first. So good question though. Yeah, you're not there. I mean, you won't get there. You won't pass go and they won't collect your token. Okay? Makes sense? Now that ADS 157, now we would call it 2157. That's been entrenched in our lineup for quite some time, and that does a wide swath of Chrysler pin codes. But again, these 5 actually, well 6 with the Pacifica outside of 17 up, yeah, that's a closed system. So be very mindful of that. When you're updating a Smart Pro, this is a screenshot of our loader, what we call our AD loader. It's really the hub of information. When you become an owner of a Smart Pro, and Johnny and Pat know this, is that this is where you're going to go to at least what?
Once a month.
At least once a month, but
Every
even
2
more.
weeks right now.
Yeah, but even
Please do.
Yeah, even more and more frequency with the Smart Pro, because we're still got a lot building in it, a lot of engineering moves. So you don't want to go even 30 days on this machine. You want to, like I said, about every 10, 12, 14 days, you want to be updating it. Okay? It's like I said, the core app now, and this is just in the last couple of days, is here. And when you check your core app, here's what I'll show you. I'll get it there, and then I'll hand it around to you guys. I'm going to unplug it at this point. So let me get this on. Takes a second to fire up. Anyway, so this is your loader. You would load this to your laptop or desktop. And the loader gives you, when you connect via USB cable, which you get, these are the two areas right here. The load device and your token pass is really what you're going to be dealing with most days. You'll get automatic notice on version update of the loader, which you see the version up there, 628. And that's not current probably, but just for an example. And then you notice here in the screen your individual pieces of software, and you see the column of numbers there, current and available. So that's what you have to kind of pay attention to, because you see right there on the top one, that's for Australia, but it's 009 is current, but available is 101. So that's why there's a check mark in that box, because the next step is to update that and bring it to 101. Okay, so if I put my passcode in, and I have my screen, my home screen, with 8 icons. Another tip for you guys running, 7 out of the 8 should always light up and be active from the minute you turn it on. Okay, like you see here. The only one that's not active is what they call the programming one, and that will become active when you plug into the vehicle. Okay? But if I go to settings and I go to general, I've got two choices here. General information and software version. See, my main battery is getting low, it's red. I need to plug in. I guess I wasn't plugged. Oh, I unplugged it, that's why. So it'll tell you. And then there's two batteries running in this. And remember about the 24-hour clock? So we got to have that. Most of the weight of this machine isn't because of the lithium battery or what. It's because of the screen itself. The number one repair issue and return issue on our T-codes and MVPs were screen related. So they put a lot of emphasis and a lot of time and actually money in making that screen very solid. We were in Houston, Texas last year, I think it was. Yeah, it had to be last year. It rolled off. We put I think it was a 300 we had in the booth. It had slid off the roof of a 300, this very machine, and hit cement floor. Picked it back up, started working with it. So, on that. But when we go to software versions, I'm going to pass that around now, Pat. If you look down that column of information, about a quarter of the way down, you see Core App. Can you read that for me?
Core App B226C.
226. Because I just updated it before getting on the plane here. Updated it beginning of the week. And that's how quick you can check that. So when you go home tonight, or you have your machine, you pulled it out. You pulled it out of your pocket. You might want to just get that up on the table and check that right now. Check that right now. And if you need power, we'll get you power on that. In fact, here, let me do this. Because these are important bits of managing your equipment that you want to be aware of. Because God forbid you go 10 miles, 20 miles to go do a job and you haven't updated your machine, and it's a newer vehicle. Usually it's going to happen on newer vehicles, because sometimes it could be on an older vehicle too. It's depending. Our engineers are in constant motion. And so updating the machine, refreshing it, is something that you want to make sure that you're doing. Make sense? You're looking for right here under Core App. Version, V is for version, 2.2.6. It was just recently at 2.2.2. And that'll change. and that can change several times in the year. We try to make sure we announce it, our reps understand it, our distributors hopefully are understanding it, and that way when they're engaged with the customer, because a lot of times your first call is going to be to the distributor or your local representative, they can help you with that. But if we can get that message out in these classes and it sinks into your mind and you network with some others folks in your area or that you befriended, spread that information because it's good to know, okay? All right, so if you all understand that, very important. And like I said, the tip is, if by chance that you ran, your days are running long, you're doing safes, you're doing CCTV, access control, stuff like that, and then you got an automotive job, and you haven't picked that thing up out of its case for a week or two, the first thing you want to check, man, do I have this thing updated? Okay, because it only takes a second to do that. You saw how quick that was. Okay, jump on there, get it updated, and if you've got a long string of updates, you can pinpoint the one for the vehicle that you're going to go do, and just do that update, because it'll bring the core app along with it, and then update the others later. So that by doing that, you just go here, and you click, you would not select all, you would clear all, and just check what you want. So you can pinpoint your update. And that will save you a bit of time, especially if you're in the field, out away from your office or where you got good land or Wi-Fi connection or what. You can update these machines by Wi-Fi, but I like to update them through the loader when possible. I've done it both ways, and I find sometimes the Wi-Fi is still not tuned in quite yet, and they'll get there, but sometimes you might risk something not updating. So if you can, try to stick with doing it through the loader.
Well, I'm in an area that there's a lot of land up there that has
No
no Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you're in no
Yeah,
Wi-Fi.
so you want to make sure you're doing it from your office location or home location, okay? All right. Look-alike remotes. We passed some around already to you. We're up to 134 SKUs now. Is that right, Tony? 160 SKUs on that. So this is, again, this is a new line, a new area, a new level of keys that we brought to the market. And when I talk about keys, I always keep this guy handy. I'm sure you have them in your office or in your van. If you don't, there should be plenty at the show. But this is kind of the Bible. I mean, this is a very good roadmap. And it tells you it not only tells you about keys, but what we can do with them. So you really want to make sure that you have a couple of these hanging around, okay? All right.
Where are they at the show, Tony?
They'll be at the booth, the table.
What?
These, you have,
You got one name?
you don't have any of these? Okay, well, I only have one. But
They should have them at the distributor.
the distributor should have
I
them.
was in there the other day, I just said, usually they have them on the counter.
Yeah.
But I didn't see them.
Well, they've been out all year, and so the distributor may be out of them.
Okay. We can get you one.
Yeah, I got,
pretty quick.
I've got some older ones, but I think I got an 18, I think I got an 18.
Because I'm only here for a short time, and I'm sure I'm gonna bank on my Chicago team to have theirs or have some still in stock. You can have that one.
Well, now, he can't have it right now,
Well, yeah,
because I
don't
need it.
right now.
You need it?
I need it for this.
Oh, you need it. Well, yeah.
If they-
Yeah.
But he can take it after class.
Yeah, I'll find something. They're around.
You can have it, but after class, then just
Have it. As soon as we're done, you
you can
have
put it in your pocket, okay?
There's some around here somewhere.
Because there's got to be some. But like I said, you can take that one when we're done.
I think there was some I think it was a partial box, like there might have been 4 in the warehouse.
Yeah.
So, and that was in our warehouse, and so I left them there because I was like, there's 4. And so, I had an entire case at my house, and I left them. I'll be honest with you, I left them.
Okay.
So, at the house.
These,
So
yeah.
I mean, I can mail you some. Get me your address and I'll mail you some. Yeah, because man, I got a whole box, and I can assure you, you are probably one of the only dudes that's going to ask me for the rest of the year.
Murphy's
Your
Law.
address and I'll mail them to you.
Murphy's
Because
Law.
I had an entire case left over last year. They went to the burn pile. So
Yeah.
18 or 19?
24 to a case, I think, or
50.
50 to a case?
There's
Wow.
50. Yeah.
You got 50 of them sitting around.
Yeah.
Got 50 of them sitting in a box at my house. I believe I still do.
Just to go back real quick too, if you didn't notice, which is important, if you didn't notice as we passed these around or samples of these on the back, did you notice the back side?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you want keys that have enough information on it, and these are all labeled with the FCC number. So, and that's important for you guys as you move forward with dealing with these type of keys. So make sure that you understand that you know these aren't something fly by night. Yeah, we're packaging them and trying to get them out there like Amazon.
Yeah, and it's visible. Some
yeah.
have it in black.
Some of them are tough. Some of them, like this Ford one, is tough. But most of them are very visible on that. The Ford one and the GM is okay, but man, for me, I've got to put my glasses on. They don't broadcast them large, but they're there. And that's the key to that, okay? All right, jumping to the cloning solution side, we have spread our wings a little bit more, grown longer legs, I guess, and we've reached in with the 128 on this. The 128 is just, again, a level of chip. Remember back in the days when Ford had their first one come out, like an H72, as a 40-bit chip. You know, pretty basic transponder technology, algorithm, all of that good stuff. We're all the way up on 28 and passing that. And that's where I say on that business pie or the technology that lends itself a bit to where you have to kind of do a balancing act. You can clone, and there is in some cases, especially if you got walk-in in a shop, you should have cloning. You capture that business. And you can do it in a mobile setting too. But cloning is only going to get you so far on that. So, like again, our technology though is moving forward on that. And there's some good information on that. I didn't get that in your packet, but I do have, and I laminated it. That's on the Texas 80. I should have the other one here. Yeah, so I have two charts here. These will show you the models it's covering. So here's the 80-bit before that, and then here's the 128 application chart. So you can take a quick look at that. If you want to take a picture of it, you can. We can send you this electronically.
It's on the
Yeah,
website.
you can find it there too. Okay? So, any questions here? I know there was, I think Johnny, Pat, you guys are the only ones cloning. You're pretty well set up. You have your M box and everything? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're in good shape. Okay. Do we want to go down and do the car now?
Sure.
And take a minute because I have to switch around to do the Smart for Car.
Yeah, why don't you do that?
So at this point, I think, you know, because I like to get out and get some fresh air, even though it's not a very nice day out today. But we're underneath, right? We're up
You
front.
might want to pull it back.
We'll pull it back.
bit.
Our car, it's not an easy one to miss because it's red. Number one, it is a Jeep Compass, and we're up front, the lobby area, and underneath the cover there for the front door. So we'll stay out of the weather. And I think we can take everybody at once on this one. There's, you know, it's not a big class. So we want to get a chance to use it. I don't know if you can take some photos out there or get some streaming. Do I keep this on?
No, we'll send it whenever you want to.
Okay, so if you want to break it at that point, we're gonna get what we need, and let's go down and let's go program. Let's go take a key off the system and put it back on. And that's a proximity key. So I'm gonna pick on a Scout. I'm gonna pick on you. I'm gonna give you the key. With only one key, that's how I got it. It's a national rental car. Now there's two keys programmed in the system. And we're gonna screw them up today. I've already screwed them up. Because remember, we take that key off, the other ones are off too. And then you gotta be present to put them back on. Okay? So what do we need? We need the new cable. I'm gonna hand that to you. We need obviously the machine. Hand that to you. And then we need the main cable, right? I'll hand that to you. Is that a fair deal there on that? Okay, I think that's all we need. And we're good to go.
Where's the insurance
Where's the insurance to? You want to see that work?
bill?
Yeah.
I don't, but you.
We might want to see that work, huh?
Yeah,
Let's go
might.
see that work. Where is it? Did we get it back here somewhere? Somewhere is it down there? I don't see it. Insurance tool? No, it's still in the
It's
thing.
in the
Still in the thing. Okay, so I'll give you the insurance tool. Have a phone on you or something, because you might have to pick your neck. I don't even know what that OBD is, to be honest.